Hey there, it's Latrina with Plant Food Rocks, where we promote the benefits of following a plant-based diet. And today I am having a full circle moment regarding my journey to becoming vegan and following a plant-based diet, because I'm reminded that my journey started long before I thought it started, because I'm looking back over an article that I wrote now back in 1997 with someone who is famous for being an herbalist, someone who is world renowned, and his teachings and approaches to medicine have been disputed and just caused a lot of controversy, at least back in the day when I interviewed him. And so I just find it so interesting that this interview has come up now that I am in the process of just like relaunching plant-based foods and my website and my programs and all of that. But I wanted to share that I have an interview that I did with Dr. Sebi that was back in 1997. I am like really blown away by this, because at the time, this was he was really controversial at this time. His practices and his approach to medicine, he wasn't a doctor. He wasn't a medical doctor. He was an herbologist, and he actually passed in 2016. And even today, his legacy lives on through his work and the programs through his website and things like that. But at the time that I interviewed him, he was coming off of a lot of publicity around his claims to have cured AIDS and sickle cell and others. He's actually, was went to the New York Supreme Court on behalf of his claims to have found cures for AIDS and cancer and other things like that, because of his own personal journey. And he'd taken out these ads in the New York newspaper that said he cured cancer, AIDS, and all of that. So there was a lot of controversy after he ran those ads for like 2 years. And so it was just a whole big thing. And so I think that happened in like the mid to late 80s. And then I met him through my work in Albany, Georgia, where I work for one of my favorite people, Brady Keys, who passed a few years ago, but had a newspaper and owned the radio station there. And so I worked for him at his newspaper. And Mr. Keys was a major trailblazer himself. And so he brought in Dr. Sebi, and I interviewed him and talked to him about, his lifestyle and his beliefs about food being medicine. And here's a picture from that interview. He brought one of his clients with them at the time, but that's Mr. Keys right here and Dr. Sebi in the middle, and the young woman he'd been working with at that time. He brought her there with him to the interview as well. And I just find it so interesting that I wasn't even thinking anything about a plant-based life at that time. And with the fact that this has resurfaced in my life, my mother gave me this magazine because she held on to all of my articles that I wrote for this weekly newspaper in Albany. And so my mama keeps everything. And so when a friend of mine recently made reference to his Dr. Sebi's nutritional guide and said, just recommending it to me. And when she said it, I was like, you know what? I interviewed Dr. Sebi when I was around 27 years old. And that reminded me of the interview. And so I reached out to my mom and asked her if she still had this article. Was this one of the articles that she had? And she immediately went to it in her stack and said, yeah. And so now I have it. So it's interesting to me to read it. His thoughts about food being medicine, him quoting scriptures about, herbs being healing. He was very big on what he referred to as electric foods, that we need more of those for healing in our body. What we refer to now is more like alkaline foods, low acidic foods. So he talked a lot about that, and just how he healed himself after having been weighing 280 pounds and having asthma and diabetes and all kinds of problems. And he ended up fasting and using herbs for over like 90 days. I think it was for 94 days he fasted. And after that 94-day period, he'd experienced a lot of healing in his body from the approach that he took. And so that kind of was the start of his whole journey into alkaline foods, using herbs for healing. Just a wonderful legacy of healing for himself and for others. Still, people dispute a lot of the things that he did, but he spoke for what his experience was. And so I was just very moved by that. And so now looking back on this article and looking back at what I believe today about food being medicine, I'm taking a step back to really take it all in and process it, because I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe that things happen just kind of randomly. I think that all of this is just a part of my journey and a part of my path. So for this to resurface, it just reaffirms for me what I believe about food being medicine. And so, so I thought it was really interesting, and I wanted to share that. And so there's a lot that I'm taking from this. I know that I've in the process of, recreating some 21-day vegan programs that I'm experimenting with before I release to people. But there are some things that I get from the interview with Dr. Sebi that I plan to incorporate into my program, that I want to launch probably in October. I'll launch it. I'll do like a beta test of the program. So if there's anybody who's interested in being part of like my beta program for the 21-day jumpstart, vegan, plant-based 21-day, not detox, but sort of a detox, depending on where you're coming from. Like if you're coming from eating animal products and all those things, and you want to do my jumpstart, then it would be a detox, because you'll be getting those things out of your system. But that's definitely the path I'm taking, and kicking off the beta test that I'll be doing for myself, even though I'm already a plant-based, but just making some modifications in my own diet to try out my own program before I really put it out there. But let me know if you are interested in talking to me about that, or being part of the beta program. We'll be beta testing it out, the 21-day jumpstart. You can go to my website at plantfood-rocks.com, and send me a message through my website, and I will respond and get information from you and to you about the beta program. So yeah, I just thought it was really fascinating that that at this particular time, that what I'm doing, I stumble upon this wonderful interview, and just the wonderful experience I had meeting Dr. Sebi. He had a very kind spirit, a very kind man, and passionate about what he believed. So it was really great. So I look forward to hearing your feedback, and let me know if you're interested in being a part of the beta for the program that I will be launching in another month or so. But yeah, I would love to hear your feedback. I'd love to hear your comments. So let me know what you think. In the meantime, rock on.